Hey, Intro to Designers. This is Jason, and I'm gonna talk through sort of what your next step is with this perspective sketch. The next step is to add some lighting looks to your perspective sketch, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. I'm gonna be using these cool gray, this pack of 12 cool gray Prismacolor markers to do it. But you can do it with pencils, you can do it with your own kind of markers. It doesn't really matter how you do it. But the goal of this assignment is to show how light is going to interface with your room. I strongly recommend, if you can, just simply take your cell phone, take a picture of this image and print it out. And you can do it that way. Or it's totally fine with me too if you want to take your image and take a picture of it, put it in Photoshop or Procreate, or if you like any of those digital programs, you can also use those digital programs to create this perspective sketch with lighting looks. So first things first, because I know my markers bleed, I'm gonna put a piece of paper underneath of this so that it's all not gonna bleed on my nice white table. Oops, Butterfingers. All right. Now, so you will have seen my lecture, or I would have given you my lecture on the qualities of light. With that lecture in mind, and also thinking about how light moves through space. And what do I mean when I say how light moves through space? What I mean is really observe a room in the daylight and try to understand how the light from the window that is coming through the window is affecting the room. Also, at nighttime, really observe how the lights in your house are affecting the lights in various rooms. Lights that are, table lamps cast different light and shadows on a wall than a light that's on the in the center of your ceiling, right? So think about how different light affects different spaces. And the goal for this assignment is you're going to take your perspective drawing. You're going to do two. I'm going to do one demo, but you're going to do two versions that show two different light looks. Now, I've given you, you've all arranged this room in different ways, which is awesome. But I've given you a room that has a chandelier, a fireplace, two windows, and if you want to feel a little jazzy about it, you can also imagine maybe some sconces on these walls, if you're up to it. Not a requirement, but all of those things are sources of light, right? So I want you to think about how those sources of light are going to affect this room. I'm going to do my demo for this, assuming that it is, let's say this is a west-facing window and it's about 7 p.m. So the light's going to be just blasting through these windows, right? Just blasting through them. Because I've observed light and understand how light works, I know that if light is going to blast through these windows here, that this wall is actually going to be the darkest wall in the room. And this wall is going to be the brightest wall in the room. And this wall is probably going to be a medium value. And the ceiling and the floor are, well, it's going to depend on the angle of light. There's a world in which maybe the floor and this wall share a value because the light's coming this way. And that perhaps this, the ceiling is going to have sort of a gradient of values as well. I think it's really important, you've probably heard this from other instructors too, to work from dark to light when you're working with light. So I'm just gonna talk through the process I'm going to take in showing different light values of this room. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think about these windows, because the windows are essentially they are essentially my source of light. So I'm gonna suggest what angle the light is coming through from those windows, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm gonna somehow show the projection of these window mullions on the floor. So I'm gonna draw, I'm kind of gonna make it up because you know what? Light can kind of do so many different things. But I think maybe I like something like this. Now see, I'm working with a light marker first. And hopefully, even though, yes, I've used my at-home laser printer to print this, hopefully the alcohol on my markers doesn't cause a problem. So I'm going to count. How many mullions do I have? 1, 2, 3. I want this to be, I want it to feel as accurate as I can possibly make it, right? Some of these mullions are going to get lost in the rug. That's okay. I'm just going to do them again. And let's see. So I can already tell that this marker is just not dark enough. So I'm going to move on. It's better to start light and work dark. So I'm going to move on to a darker marker that's going to give me a much more definite, much more definite shape of light so that I can actually see what I'm doing. Always try them out, whatever you're trying out. That's why it's really important if you're gonna work in a similar fashion using your own art supplies at home, that you maybe print multiple copies so that you have extras in case you mess it up, which I might do soon. We'll see. Depends on if I feel happy with it. Now, I have chosen that my sun is literally coming at this room at a 90-degree angle, and that my mullion shadows are just going to line up. You don't have to do that. You can have a dramatic angle. You can make all kinds of choices. 1, 2, 3 mullions. Okay, so I'm approaching 1, 2, 3 mullions. So this is going to be, let's see, this is going to be an edge here. Right. And so this I'm going to fill in because that's a mullion shadow. And then I'm going to say, okay, so where's the top of the window? Well, maybe the top of the window is there. And then I'm kind of maybe, I mean, these, again, don't be afraid to be loose about these things. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be pristine. The goal is just to show that you have an understanding of these concepts. Interested in an understanding of these concepts. That is the primary goal. Get that window. Let's see, one more mullion. And we're gonna, where the top of the window, we're gonna cut there. Okay, and then I'm gonna follow these lines that way. And then I can fill in the area around this with a nice middle tone because I decided my floor was going to be a nice middle tone. I'm going to cut in. Cutting in is when you go around a shape first before you fill in the space. Sometimes they use the same terminology when talking about scenic art. So I'm going to try to cut it around my furniture just so that it's there. Right, okay. Now, you might want want to be a little more dramatic than this, that's fine. You might want to be less dramatic than this, that's fine. I just want to see sort of, as I mentioned in the lecture, the Gedunken experiment happening in your brain. The visualization of light moving through space, even if theoretical. All right. So now you can see I have a floor that's a little darker with these, you know. So maybe it's like a, you know, a semi-cloudy day. I also think that it might be helpful if I show that where the light is creeping from this wall, right? It's going to actually be darker. And again, I'm being really rough. I'm going to spread that out, be really rough. Blend that a little bit more. And then let's see. So if the light, I know now, you can see because of this, the light's coming through this way, right? So that I actually think my ceiling is probably going to be that value. So I am just going to go ahead and make my ceiling that value. And I don't think I'm going to regret it. I might regret it, but I don't think I'm going to regret it. But if I regret it, then you know what? I start over. And that is not the end of the world. There's nothing wrong with starting over. I have to start over in my job all the time. Don't be afraid of starting over. Okay. Yeah, now I'm really starting to get a sense of this room. So I know that the wall around this is going to be darker. So I'm going to pick a darker marker. I'm going to cut in. Now, you might see I'm not really following the lines very clearly. That's also okay. These things can be rough. We are, again, not aiming for perfection. We are aiming for an understanding. Understanding is more important than perfection. I'll probably keep saying that for the rest of the semester as we continue this remote learning adventure with each other. Because we are on an adventure with each other with this remote learning. See how it works, see how it doesn't work. Kind of like this sketch. Remote learning is like this sketch. And I'm seeing to myself. And, all right, let's see. Yep. Yep, there you go. There I really can start to see how this room is going to take shape with light and how light is affecting this room. It's becoming very clear. I'm going to, let's see, so good thing to do, test your marker value before you put it down. Nothing is more sad than messing up an entire piece because you chose the wrong value. So don't do that. All right. Now I'm going to cut in around her. Got a nice medium value happening for this wall, for this back wall. Let this coloring, it's not really coloring because we're not using color. We're using values. Values, there's that V word, values, right? We're using different values of gray to make this room come to life because we are designers and that's what we want to do. If you hear a faint voice talking in the background, that means you can hear my partner Corey. He is very excited. He's excited about life in general. We should all aspire to be as excited as Corey about life. All right. So I'm doing this medium value on the entire back wall. Now, because I'm using these markers, they tend to lighten up. All right. Okay. Now, what am I going to do? I'm going to start to think about the shadows that are in this room. And I'm going to suggest the shadows with a darker value. All right, so I know the light's coming. So my chandelier is going to have a shadow like that. And all of this detail is going to have a shadow. Just show little details, give it some dimensionality just by adding a little shadow here and there. Right, that's going to be a dark shadow. That's going to be a dark shadow. There's probably going to be a shadow that creeps but then gets lighter at the back here. Probably another one there. I flubbed, but oh well. These chairs are going to have little shadows that sort of escape away from them, right? And who else is going to have a shadow? Well, he's going to have a shadow. And what is his shadow going to do? Generally, shadows of figures or whatnot are going to go to a wall. And then we're going to change the value of it because I have a sneaking suspicion. And then they go up the wall perpendicularly. Right? That's how you do a shadow of a person against a wall. Her shadow is really going to just be more of like a blob. Yeah, we might lose those chair shadows. And her shadow is probably going to creep up on that chair a little bit. Right? So you're thinking about how the light is moving through space. Shadow on the chair, shadow on the chair. Really, you can see how quick and dirty I'm doing this. You can do it just as quick and dirty as I am. You do not need to be precious about this. I just want to see that you can start to visualize how light interacts with space. Ooh, we're going to have a serious shadow in that fireplace, aren't we? And not only are we going to have a serious shadow in that fireplace, but that whole fireplace needs to get darker. So we're going to make it darker. Yeah. Oh, look, now we have a story of lovers at sunset. Okay, so now we're going to have shadows on our people because they're going to, they have volume. We show volume with we show volume with shadow and value. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You do that and you do that. Yep. All right. I think you get it. I'm not going to do too much more because I think you understand. But this, my friends, is how you can make your perspective sketch. Oh, I'm going to do just one more thing as a treat because I can. Oh, you'll notice, remember my tools from last time? Yes, I have even a narrower one. I have my Big Mama one. I have my narrower one. And then I also have one that I cut in half myself, which is great for model building. Okay, what do I want to do? I want to do these mullions because these mullions are also just going to be so dark. So dark, right? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Go to the vanishing point. Yes. Look at that. I really believe this room. I really believe the light in this room. It seems like it's actually happening. So yeah, take your own crack at it and have fun.